almost 200,000.
Right. I mean, that's the general idea. I mean, of course, there's other costs besides the build cost. The build cost right now we're at 100K, materials
Okay.
plus labor, and then you sell the house. Now, of course, there's other development costs and legal and land and stuff, but it's a reliable, robust model, right? So we can do things like 100K net per house. That we're seeing because we're building
Wow.
very, very efficiently. So it's just economics are there, and now with apprenticeship, if we can actually scale that on one side, train people to actually do that as an enterprise, but during the apprenticeship itself, people are building, so we're actually generating revenue during the apprenticeship itself. So combining the learning and education revenue models, where there's revenue model both in the tuition and the actual sale of the homes. So that's just, I mean, for us, we're just getting started.
He's excited.
Yeah.
Marcin, I want you to meet my son, Zachary.
Nice to meet you.
Oh,
Zach.
okay,
And
Zachary.
yeah, we're working together for all the media. It's a collaboration between us. When you're on your computer,
Yes, I am.
which one are you seeing the screen? Because if you're looking in front,
I'm looking. The camera's up here.
yeah, okay, all right.
Is that good?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
it's
that's
perfect.
good. Just because you're looked to the side, so I wasn't sure
Well,
if
here
you're
I'm
seeing.
looking at. Here's my. Got my other screens. I got three monitor setup here. So, yeah.
Well, we're gonna get going. We don't want you to talk too much.
Yeah, that's
we want
right.
it to be a bit of a surprise.
I'll spoil the whole thing. Yeah.
I know you're excited. I can hear in your voice. It's like I want to talk.
good.
We want to talk about this. Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, Pops, are you ready for today's episode?
I'm ready and I'm excited. We have a real world Sheldon for you today. But beyond that, if you're interested in DIY, if you're interested in machinery, if you're interested in tools, if you're interested in innovation, if you're interested in building, I mean, we've got all of this and more covered. So don't miss it. Stick around. We've got so much for you. I'm so happy to have Marcin Jakubowski here. And let me just read. This guy is accomplished. I mean, I did say he's a real world Sheldon from Big Bang. Why? Because he's actually a nuclear physicist. Yes, he is. So Marcin Jakubowski is Polish. He's the founder of open source Ecology and the mind behind the Global Village construction set, which is an open source blueprints for 50 machines that let anyone build a self-sustaining village from scrap and local materials. He's a former fusion physicist turned farmer and innovator. He runs Factor E Farm in Missouri and is now leading the Future Builders Academy to finish the full set, which is the 50, by 2028. His work is all about DIY abundance, regenerative tech, and empowering small-scale farmers and orchardists with affordable, resilient tools for a post-scarcity world. Welcome to the Permaculture Orchard Podcast, Marcin. So glad to have you join us today.
Thank you so much. Tell me who Sheldon is because I'm not familiar.
Sheldon is from a TV show called The Big Bang Theory.
Okay.
And it's probably it was a hit series from, I don't know, 10 years ago or
Okay.
something. But it's three physicists and an engineer
Yeah.
Oh.
with a girl who's an aspiring actress. Anyway, it's so
Oh.
much, when people can relate to Sheldon because he's a nerd about physics.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if are you still interested in nuclear physics?
I'm interested in physics as it applies to regeneration, saving the
Okay.
world, the big picture. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's physics is, I mean, there's first principles. So in any of this, we need to start with first principles. So that part is absolutely relevant. First principles thinking.
Yeah.
Yep.
Listen, you went to Princeton. You got an honors degree and a PhD in fusion physics, and you went to found the open source Ecology and farming full time. What
yeah.
was the pivotal moment that made you leave academia behind? And if I didn't do my research right, call me out as well.
Oh, there were a couple of pivotal moments. One was the theoretical physics hazing, i.e., the mandatory classes you had to do just to make it through the program, and they were just crazy. People would talk about things that didn't even exist, equations that would stretch across the whole board, and I'm thinking about, well, how does this lead to a better life? Like my thing was like, okay, there's war, poverty, like what's going on? You're talking about these things that don't even exist. Like this was theoretical physics stuff, and it was such a disconnect because I went into physics to get something absolutely tangible and relevant, and was grossly disappointed. That started with the chemistry. In the chemistry degree, I thought, oh yeah, well maybe that's not the right thing. It was highly theoretical too in Princeton, and it's like I didn't learn anything. So I went into physics, got even more disappointed. So, and at one point, I ran into this lifestyle engineering coach, an Indian guy who taught me Indian meditation, cooking, breathing, all of that. The kind of like the basically the softer skills of meditation that completely turned my life upside down while I was in that PhD program. So that's where it started, and I started thinking about also the idea. At that point, I was introduced to Linux, which I didn't know existed.
Okay.
This was about break of 2000, so it's early days of computer world, and I found about Linux at that point. It was like, whoa, you mean you can have an operating system that's free, you can modify, download, because we were all using Macs. I saw that, I was like, whoa, this is amazing. And then I started thinking about, well, how do you make a whole civilization operate on principles of open collaboration, which even in my PhD program, I could not talk openly about the work I was doing because it was hot, and people would get, funding or knock us out of funding opportunities if they had our material. So it was ridiculous. Couldn't even collaborate there. So I was really thinking a lot about collaboration as the secret sauce to a new kind of an operational model for civilization.
Let me tell you, just hearing that, it speaks to me about your level of perseverance. Because to be disillusioned, one, and to realize, wait, what am I doing here? But to persevere, to still graduate.
Oh yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm gonna suck it up. I'm gonna get this done, and I'm gonna move on.
I almost got kicked out a couple of times, but because I was starting doing all kinds of other things. I was reading more about relevant topics, reading books like, Martin Luther King or Gandhi or Schumacher and other appropriate technology stuff, which fusion was supposed to be about appropriate technology, but the farther I went in it, the less relevant it seemed. Yeah.
But even at that, like, I'm just listening to you talk, and it's a little bit going over my head. I feel like it's but wwere you always into school, like even when you were younger?
Oh yeah, so
my father.
Yeah, my father's a scientist, so he that's where that came from.
Okay.
And always in my childhood, or in my thoughts. Okay, first of all, growing up in Poland, Russia, war. My grandmother was in a concentration camp. My grandfather was in the Polish underground. So thinking about life, meaning of life, and what's important, that was always there. And I thought, well, man, we've got this amazing technology. Why do we still go through all this strife and civilization? So this kind of thinking of positive change through science was something I always had, and perhaps because of my father, he was into molecular biology. So that's, so definitely an intellectual, Polish elite intellectual background. That's how he was able to leave Poland in 1984, because the brain drain, right? So they wouldn't allow people to leave Poland at that time, right? But we were, because he was a scientist, and they probably let out scientists so they wouldn't, or rebels so they wouldn't cause trouble. Though my parents weren't as rebellious as I.
That was still the Soviet, the communist era in Poland.
Well, yeah. So I mean, I've said this many times. Tanks were rolling down our streets next to the blocks. This was the time of martial law, right? When did you actually come to the country?
I visited in '73. But I really stayed in the countryside because my parents were both from totally rural areas.
Yeah.
But I remember asking my uncle, I said, well, how come everybody has such high fences? Like you can't see anybody in their yard.
Huh.
And he said, come inside, we'll talk.
What
And
was
it
that?
was just because that was when I went to visit, and I visited, and he was basically saying that there was such high fences, even in a countryside. I mean, even in a small rural village, because you didn't know who you could absolutely trust. So if they
Oh,
heard you talking bad about the regime, because everybody knew stories of, yeah, you know, Janusz over there, he was there and then he was gone. Like nobody knew what happened because they'd
oh
always come
man.
and get somebody in the night. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
the whole communist era that kind of marked me as, my goodness, like we don't have that. That's not what happens in Canada.
Mm.
So yeah,
What year was
people
that, by the
don't.
way? So when you say the big fences, like what year was
That
that?
was 73.
73. So even at that time, I did not see that kind of stuff because I guess by the 80s, when I can remember, that kind of stuff disappeared. But I mean, remember, like right after the war, they were still taking out people from the
Oh
Polish underground, right? And that's where I would have
yeah.
been. Yeah.
Well,
So
so that gave you a good grounding, and your
yeah.
father's background gave you a good science, I
Hmm.
guess, a good science training because he probably taught you a lot about science and
Well, even at that, just talking to you, I feel like you're very curious. So even as a
Yeah.
child, you must have been, and then the thoughts start coming. So I,
Yeah.
I
I was definitely the curious George. Like my mom told me, in parent teacher conference, like the teacher would say, "Oh yeah, well this kid, he would like be always like digging under the desk and like whatever, like causing trouble
you're
and
you're just
whatever."
bored. You
Yeah,
so you were looking, how is this made? Is that what you're like? What was your bent when you were a kid in let's say elementary?
retarded. I wasn't there yet until 30 when I started to meditate. I got radicalized at Madison, you could say, University of Wisconsin Madison,
Okay.
which is a pretty progressive school. Um, like the physics building was blown up during the Vietnam War there, things like that. It's the Berkeley of the Midwest or so called, whatever you want to call it. But
Okay.
before that, I had none of this impulse to actually build the world. Like right now, that is absolutely natural, and we're going to my claim is we're just going to rebuild civilization because this one is broken, right? And going about all the steps required to do that. But I remember, for example, in grad school, there was one moment, like I was walking by a car, and I said, because of course cars are hugely polluting and a major issue. I was like, what if we were to design a sustainable car? And at that time, I remember very specifically saying, wait a minute, I could actually do that and build that, which was a completely foreign kind of a thought. Any kind of thought that you can actually build something that so-called the mainstream system provides for you, that we can actually take that into our hands, was completely foreign. So that kind of thing, actually, a lot of that emerged through meditation, you could say, through looking at things in a different way. Yeah.
So did that, when you got that thought about, hey, I could do this, how did that kind of haunt you then? Did it stick with you, or is it just a thought in
Well,
passing and you went on?
at that time, it was a thought in passing because that was like my first year of the graduate school program where I was completely in the thick of it. And actually, after having that lifestyle engineering teacher teach me the more of the inner skills, that I thought about things much more, read more, just not stuff not related to my studies, and started getting different ideas of what the world could look like. But I was completely that all was completely foreign to me at that point. But I did eventually just start inching into all this stuff, like started urban gardening. Just knocked on some doors and said, "Hey, can I plant some tomatoes in your backyard?" Started doing stuff like that. I started organizing things around the school, such as an interdepartmental forum, because I could not talk to any other departments. Like you're there in school, you meet nobody else outside of the people in your department. There was no forum for that kind of activity. So I started doing things, and then started a Gandhi network where we actually started doing things like build a solar food dehydrator or build a bicycle power assist, things like that. So I started getting hands-on when I was just disappointed about not having any of that under my belt. Hmm.
So I guess it's a little different because I like to call it controlled chaos now in my
Mm.
brain, but I feel like our brains might work a little
Mm.
differently. But how you were saying when you were younger, you would just get all these thoughts, but you weren't able to control them necessarily. You talked about then finding breathing techniques, and I guess with that kind of help you focus all these ideas to then be able to execute on them. Whereas before they were just, like you said, idea, come, and then go. But learning, I guess, these different
Yeah,
techniques, how would they help you to control all that and
yeah,
then become effective?
yeah. Actually, there were two phases to that learning, and one was actually the PhD program,
Okay.
because in my second or third year, I was faced with a prelim exam, and I failed. So they gave me
Okay.
like 2 months or 3 months to hit the books super hard. So I focused like no other time. I was actually able to make it. So the whole process of taking a problem and really understanding it at a fundamental level, physics did provide that, because you really at the graduate level you really have to dig down deep to look at some of the underlying mechanisms. But beyond that, yes, absolutely, through meditation you can basically, it's about emptying your mind, because focus is not about really focusing on something, but really getting rid of all the junk, right? And that's what you get from meditation.
So that must have been pretty powerful then. Do you remember what the first, I guess, utilization of this new superpower would have been, that you kind of got an idea, you had the ability now to process it and then execute?
No, it was just a continuous process of listening to feelings, like how I feel about, so kind of integrating the emotional state, the primal state of what is it that I want to do or that I'm meant to do. So just really figuring out, like, it's both body, it's like mind body integration kind of work, where I'm convincing myself what is truly valuable to do. And that's how the open source ecology concept came about. It's an obvious thing from one perspective, right? It's okay that we can collaborate or share. I mean, really? But let's now implement it in a technical way that we can actually redesign civilization along those lines. So it was a continuous process of getting clarity on one, what's important, and then focusing energy to do that. But it's a completely continuous process. And right now it's like I'm 53 or so, and wow, like right now I'm noticing, like, the more I learn, the more humbled I am. But wow, I don't know anything. It's like I use the word retarded, just which is not politically correct here, but
Actually, that last statement that you said, the more you know, the more you're humbled.
yeah,
Right there. No, I mean, a lot of people think
Very
a lot of
self-aware.
things, but yeah, they're not aware enough to realize that, because that's a powerful arrival, basically, to say that, wow, the more you, and nature is a great teacher for that, because the more you look in, it's like, what are you seeing? Are you seeing the insect on the flea? Well, what? There's an insect on the flea. Well, there's an insect on the insect on the insect on the flea. Like, how far do you want to go? So it's
yeah.
humbling to work with nature.
Yeah, and the thing actually that comes up immediately to my mind is AI, because that actually cracks consciousness now. I mean, right now I use AI all the time as just refining concepts and things. That's another total game changer in my view. Just in my, I mean, this just started this year. The
Yeah.
AI, I started using it heavily, but man, the power of it right now is just amazing, and just cracking basically like the kinds of thoughts that related to meditation. I mean, you're developing concepts internally, or through time you're refining concepts, but now that kind of process is just way accelerated, because you ask
Are
a
you
question.
using the are you using the AI as a chat, or are you using it to agents, or are you
Okay, so
getting it to do aspects, or
there's a total, the main thing is, yeah, just online thing where you tell me how I designed the campus, so it's design the future campus, the thing that design me a miracle orchard operation for a factory farm, whatever, and then it integrates all that. But okay, here's the game changer. So the game changer since about January or February is now
right?
what we call iconic CAD. So now I'm getting AI to do all the CAD.
Oh wow, I didn't know it goes
Absolute
in that
game
area.
changer.
Oh,
Yes. So what we're
See, I say,
doing,
oh,
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
now the game change here is that now, in human language, you describe what you want to do, you turn it into a schema with parameters, and then you compile it to actual CAD, and now you have the absolute capacity of any individual on this planet to take human language and generate technically accurate computer-aided design. And
So
this is what we're actually trying to, I'm working on that like full-time right now, to convert, like, we talked about the global village construction set 50 tools.
Right.
Let's do a massive parallel process where people we can teach people how to do this process, so we can develop this in rapid time. So that's the current work.
So I remember when I was at the factory farm doing a course with you, I didn't realize how detailed especially the instructions to how to do that it took so much time to develop that after you have the design. So if you worked on the design and you refined it and you have it and here's the blueprint, but then the whole, the wiki and the whole setup. So using AI, I'm sure it can absolutely do 95% of all of that. To elaborate it.
Yeah, exactly. And you're pointing to the aspect of how much time it took to design the CD Go Home 4, which we just sold recently, like a few weeks ago, on the open market. It took about 2,000 hours of CAD time. Insane.
Oh, wow.
Now we saw, okay, yeah, great. A couple of years ago when we finished that, the CAD, actual CAD, and then we took a year or two to build it, to document it fully in like exhaustive documentation. But we found that, okay, the next model you build, forget about that being like any kind of a clone or replica of that. You basically have to start the CAD almost from scratch. Even if you, for example, flip the garage to the other side, well, you just rerouted everything and nothing is correct anymore, and those blueprints are no longer usable. So it turns out that every single time you have to go through, if you do the detail that we do, which enables the rapid build, you're talking about thousands of hours per house. Absolutely not scalable. And that's the reason why we built this house in 2016, and we were like, yeah, awesome, blah, blah. But to actually roll this out to a economically viable product that's documented and ready to build, every single one is effectively a fork, a different version, and it takes you impossible amounts of time to do it until now.
So now you said parallel, so you have that example, you ran it through AI to do the design, or you will be doing the design?
We're doing that right now. So you basically put the whole design into AI, and as basically a schema. It's basically a thing that contains all the parameters and all the rules and all that, and I do that through human language, and now I just say, generate my house. In fact, I mean, we call it, so it's actually the way it works. I want to just talk about it a little. I can give you the link for the concept, but the concept is, because our house is modular and FreeCAD is open source. So we use the open source CAD design software called FreeCAD. That is actually the secret sauce, because no other commercial or other software, any other proprietary software, does not allow you to get at the code underneath it. So now you can actually use AI directly in FreeCAD to generate all this stuff. So that's actually the critical aspect, where open source is actually killing it. Because it's open. And now you can connect AI to it, and it's magic. So the way we're doing it is, because our house is modular, like all these things here are like the walls, they're 4x8 or 4x9 modules. So for example, you can think about this, drag and drop, you have an icon that corresponds to, here's a door, window, wall module. You just basically drag and drop the icons into your house shape, and then you hit compile, and it generates the actual CAD. Modified for all the things that it needs to happen. Like, for example, if you have a corner, it knows that you have to put blocking there so you can attach it. Things like that. You program that. And I'm doing that. I'm not a programmer. I did some programming, but it's time consuming as anything, right? So right now, AI just spits out all that code for you in Python, in code. FreeCAD understands it, and I have to do none of that. I just give it language commands.
See, that's crazy. This is what we say it all the time. I like to say, now moving forward, the hardest thing is going to be to get the initial idea. Once you have
Oh,
that
yeah.
idea, you
Oh,
reverse
yeah.
engineer it with AI,
Yeah.
and things become possible now.
Oh,
Whereas, like you were saying a decade ago,
Yeah.
good luck. I don't have 2,000 hours to learn how to use Python, but
Yeah, I was saying to him about
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, I hit on this where I kind of has been, and you said, the January was kind of the breakthrough. For me, it was about so this would be April. And all of a sudden there was, oh my goodness, all the me bottlenecks of doing office work, which is what I hate. I want to be outside. I want to be showing people how to do it. Yes, but the office work bottlenecks that I had
Yep.
is wiped. And the fact, like you say, it's natural language. I mean, I really encourage anybody who has maybe an aversion and maybe got told or sold the idea of, oh, AI is terrible, it's bad. It is so liberating because it frees you from the drudgery of things that, okay, I have to do this. And like you're saying, it's the hours. You don't realize if you have to sit in an office at any time, the hours of work, and there's probably people who enjoy doing office type work, but it's like, no, I'm not one of them. So anytime that could free me from that, and it's been started with ChatGPT a while ago, but now I shifted completely to Grok, and I realized that it's like anything. Like we drive electric cars, and you have to learn to trust it because it's different. It just does things differently. The same with AI. So gradually we've learned to trust it, and we've always used benchmarks of things that we know about.
Yeah.
And I realized, wow, now it is actually better than what I could do. So it's like, well, if it's doing better than I can do, it's like hiring the best person that I know to do that, and it's doing it. So it's really been liberating and exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, we still need to consider that it accelerates the race to the bottom if not used properly. Like right now, the capital concentration is insane. The world is blowing up right now. Now I'm actually looking at AI as a key solution to this. Like if we can mobilize enough people to use benign AI instead of evil AI purposes, we can do it. But as always, it's always our choice. Things are not looking great. I must admit, like if you take a look at realistically, like all the kind of disasters happening around the world, but at the same time, our capacity to do, for example, imagine where anybody can now design and build anything to build their reality and wealth. We solve the final frontier of the economy, which is distribution. That's what's possible right now. So for example, just before this, I was getting excited about, here's your CNC candy machine, or basically imagine now people, and this is real, we're working on stuff, for example, an open source CNC machine, a lathe mill that has automatic feed, right? All doable right now with open source design, including the web interface and now AI that we can program it and control it, no problem. So imagine you go online, you upload your file that you generated through words in FreeCAD with AI. You think up of some crazy part. You upload it, you pay your fee, and you have a video camera on that. You're watching as this thing is made. It's shipped to you in an hour. This does not exist in the world. Nobody does it at this level of integration, right? So there's opportunities where you can do crazy stuff. This is, telemanufacturing, right? Where you can actually order, you can upload designs and have something shipped to you. That exists. But what I just described, the way it's done, also including the fact that it's open source machines doing that. Open source code, open source design in FreeCAD doing that. And take another one of the Global Village construction set machines, the induction furnace, and now you got aluminum cans you're picking off the side of the street to make the aluminum billets that go into this CNC machine, right? So it's like complete closed loop material cycles, ecological energy, like photovoltaics that are now ridiculously cheap. Like the possibilities are endless. There's a real meaningful case to be made for abundance or for death. It's our choice.
Marcin was the first one who really keyed me in to the whole idea of open source. Like I'd heard about Linux and so on, but
Yeah.
you want to just give a primer on open
Yeah.
source.
Yeah, so open source, we sure everybody's heard of open source software, the fact that people are developing things collaboratively, like the whole back end of the web infrastructure, the servers, they all run Linux open source type software. So software has dominated, open source has dominated in software. Now, of course, there's plenty of proprietary things, like for example, while we have a great FreeCAD open source CAD design package, all the other ones are proprietary or some kind of vendor lock-in. That's why we're blowing them away with open source. I like to exaggerate here, but I mean, I do believe actually FreeCAD, unless the other software packages become more open, FreeCAD is going to accelerate its adoption much more and eventually win out. That's my prejudice on the topic. But okay, so you got open source software. Some people, there's a few percent of the population that use Linux. That's what I'm using right now on my computer. I'm using Linux, not Mac or Windows. So I'm using free software that I have more control over. Its security is actually better on it. Security is a big thing. Okay, but let's apply those principles to hardware. And what does that mean? So the four freedoms of open source are the ability to view the code in hardware, that would be actually the design files. It's the ability to use it, to use that product. Like if it's an open source 3D printer, you can actually take those blueprints and make that 3D printer from those blueprints. Third freedom is that you have the ability to distribute it, so make copies of it and then actually sell it. It's all the freedoms. You can produce something because plans are open and you have the know-how to actually produce it. Now, if you want to go a little bit down the rabbit hole more, by the way, we just got our first Open Source Hardware Association certification actually on the house that we just sold. It's a full open design. You can download the blueprints, start your own business, make $100K a pop net if you have the skills. Okay, so you got to have some skills. But we try to make it easy. So now that's our first open source registered so-called product. But if you look at the details of this, well, how do you make sure that if you have the design, that you have enough information to actually produce it? Well, there's a gap in the open source definition, in my view, because you don't have to actually publish the production engineering. As long as you have the file and you provide basic instructions, like for example, cut this like this and that, it's called open source. But you can still game that, and you can say, well, here's the actual open source design, but if there's only like one manufacturer using some advanced fancy fabrication process, they could still have a complete vendor lock-in on some so-called nominally open source product. So anyway, that's kind of like if you want to go more down the rabbit hole. What we do to prevent that kind of stuff, that kind of lack of transparency, we publish the production engineering as well. How do you do it? What tools do you use? What are the tolerances, like what kind of surface finish or whatever? We're making sure that, or just the design of your fabrication facility or the workflows in there. Because without that, you have to figure it all out, right? So we try to make that easy. And that to us is the full embodiment of open source and hardware. Not only the design blueprints, but also the production engineering know-how. So
you've really reverse engineered A to Z, and here you go. This is everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Because otherwise you have to still figure everything out. Just because, like for a great example of this is Tesla claiming that the car is open source. BS. Nobody can produce those parts. And when I asked them to, okay, send me the files, no, you don't get the files. They wouldn't even have them.
You'll get like five-year-old files, stuff that they've had, and
or files in some proprietary software that would cost me $100,000 to buy. So it's like, okay, let's be real about this. People don't. the discussion about open and collaborative, it's sadly missing in society. So people don't get to understand the nuances of the possibility here. Like there is great possibility with open collaboration, but we unfortunately live in a scarcity mindset society where none of this is accessible. Like people don't see these opportunities, and therefore a lot of people are pretty depressed.
Do you see the application of open source approaches far more in, say, third world countries where it's like they don't even have often the for-profit version. So if we're going to start, why don't we just start with the ones where everybody can just get together? Let's just build. I remember your Earth block builder. It's like, well, man, if they have this and they build this now, a few people in the village get together, they're popping out these bricks, and next thing you know, wow, we've got a much better building.
Yes, and this question comes up all the time, and unfortunately the answer is yes at the replication phase, not at the development phase. So take a look at the brick press. We ship that brick press over, the hydraulic pump or the engine, little part breaks on engine, you're dead. Supply chain. You have to have enough of a manufacturing backbone anywhere you send this. Otherwise, this becomes like what I hear about the rest of Africa, about all kinds of Western imported equipment that sits dead because a part broke. That's how I started the project. My tractor broke. I paid $2,000 to get it repaired, and it broke again. And I said, "Nuh-uh, that's unaffordable." And if it's in the global south, you're not even going to have the parts or whatever. So that's absolutely a bad idea. But at the place where we can ship along the induction furnace, the metal rolling, the CNC machines, and the actual fabrication infrastructure required to support that technology, then you're in business. But where am I going to get the $15 million outstanding to finish the Global Village construction set in Africa? That's why we're working in America, because the resources are here for development. So that's kind of a summary of that discourse. Does that make sense? Or
Yeah. So do you find you started with the end products rather than the actual kind of foundational products in your global construction set?
Well, we have a lot of the foundational. Are you're thinking a lot of that is more like a lot of finished products?
No. Like you started the tractor, for example. It wasn't the tractor. What was the first product?
The very first one was the compressed earth block press.
Oh, okay, right. But there again, like you say, you have hydraulic pump on there.
Yeah.
That you could just get here, no problem. Just go to the local hydraulic place and they can sell you one.
Yep.
So in your complete set, are there elements that you would need before building that block set? Yes, to foundry and to...
Yes, it's an absolutely generative set. So for example, the hydraulic motors are part of that's one of the 50 machines. It's important enough. The means to produce them, CNC machines and grinders, that's in there. So metal, where you starting from scrap, you have the shredder for the metal, you've got the tractor loader to load this up, you got basically the full cyclic supply chain in these 50 machines. That's it. You have to do that. And then basically, so if you can have metal, if you can have the ability to precision machine that metal, you've got advanced civilization.
You have, just for people who are listening or watching at this point, Marcin did a very well viewed TED talk about the 50 units. We'll put the link below because it's a great entry point to help you understand, well, why would you do all that? And so it's been very well received, and it's still going strong. YouTube video.
Marcin, actually, it's time we do something now we like to call the Fast Five. So basically how it works is I got 5 questions for you. It's kind of like rapid fire. You don't have to go super fast, but just, I guess, first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
So I got the first question for you. One machine you would add in any garden in your climate, and why?
I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is some kind of a universal tractor with 100 different implements. because there's 100 different tasks you got to do in any garden.
Okay. One shrub you would add in any garden in your climate, and why?
One shrub.
One
Can it be a
shrub.
large shrub, the chestnut, because it can actually provide all the carbohydrate needs that are otherwise gotten with wheat?
Sure. Yeah, that's finally we got a different answer. It seems everybody was on the same shrub.
Uh,
One building technique you would like to see adopted more widely, and why?
Absolutely CEB, compressed earth blocks, because that's still a super robust, localizable building method. It's very difficult though, because you have to have machines. Each wall section of 4 feet weighs 2 tons, right? So it's a lot of labor, but it's absolutely robust and tornado and bulletproof. So a good technique.
What person would you say has been the most impactful in your life? Could be
Well,
anybody.
um, Gandhi. Gandhi.
Why would you go into Gandhi? Why would you say Gandhi?
Well, this is spiritual development, local self-reliance, effectively mobilizing a whole nation to self-sufficiency or economics that are outside of the mainstream system. That basically knocking out the invading colonials with the power of the spirit and leadership. This is the game we have to play right now in order to oust the existing system towards a regenerative world.
Okay, that's a good answer. Last one for you here. Summarize what is the one aspect you wish was researched more?
Hydrogen, absolutely. I believe solar hydrogen is the future energy economy, and it's doable in a massively scalable way. Actually, we want to get into our hydrogen power from solar energy here relatively quickly. It's one of those things that batteries are taking all the energy, so-called, so no pun intended there, but hydrogen, I believe, it's a scalable, robust way to do it. The batteries, you're still talking about resource conflicts and human rights abuses in the mining and all that. So I mean, they seem to be pretty confident that there's plenty of lithium and other rare metals on the planet, but I haven't actually did a full study on it. If you do an immediate Google whatever or AI search on it, it does say that there's much in terms of that resource. I'm skeptical, but I gotta look more into it. But I actually want to kind of digress a little bit, because nickel iron batteries are actually in the Global Village construction set. They're less power dense, but they're absolutely abundant. It's nickel and iron. So I thought, turns out that nickel, the global reserves of nickel would not be sufficient to get everybody backup power from nickel iron batteries. And this is part of the refinement of the Global Village constructions. It's like, no, we can't do it for some applications. Those batteries last 100 years and they're super simple. They're actually much lower tech, but the nickel resource is just not there, which that actually is an insight from AI. Like, I wasn't able to process that a long time ago when putting the nickel iron batteries in there, to say that, oh, that's actually unobtainium because there's not enough nickel. Just saying.
Okay, see, I had no idea. All right, that's amazing.
Yeah.
One of the other things, so you've designed all this, and I like to reverse engineer everything. So you could create the best product on earth, but if nobody knows about it, what's the point?
Yeah.
So I guess I want you to walk me through, like my dad said earlier, you are really known for your TED Talk. Can you kind of talk us through, first off, how you managed to get a TED Talk and what the impact for all of this has had?
Yeah, it took basically, ran out of money pretty soon after the tractor episode, literally like, a few $100s in a bank account. I started crowdfunding and I started publishing everything online. So I was one of the earliest YouTubers with your build videos with sparks flying everywhere. That's, you did that a long time ago. Now, what's the point of that? Crowdfunding worked. I would publish everything, and when we first got to like $1,000 or $2,000 budget, I think we got up to like a $5,000 per month budget just by crowdfunding. I was free. That was amazing. But that was a choice where I had to make, and people were collaborating on site, and I'm getting the heat on that because it was a choice. Okay, do we build a hot shower or do I get some more steel for the next prototype? And it was hard. So it was absolute dedication of a kind that very few people have, I would say. I mean, whenever I talk to people about it, living in a mud hut, we're known as the mud hut here still, like 20 years after. Everyone knows us. You drive into the street and say, hey, you know the mud hut? Oh, yeah, everyone knows, right? But so it's not replicable. But that got us to the world stage. That kind of absolute commitment. By that time, we prototyped a number of machines, like 17 different prototypes. And the impact was absolutely amazing because I found mentors, funding, like for example, Kaufman Foundation gave us $100K pretty much on the spot, things like that. If you talk about major development budgets, we never had them, and now I think that's where it's starting with, where we can actually make $100K now ourselves with one house, right? So things are getting better, but it was the TED Talk was absolutely major boost. I mean, getting featured in all the right social proof media, all of that. So yeah, it was absolute breakthrough.
Yeah, you had inspired a core group, I would say, of early collaborators who were, you would say, oh, they were on this project, that project. Like, there were people who were absolutely committed, and I guess some of them still are, but that they embraced the whole ethic of it. They embraced your vision, because really it is. You talked about the Global Village construction set. In what year did that kind of gel?
2008. 2008.
Almost 20 years.
Yep. First formula, and that's why 2028 is, at that time I gave myself, okay, let's do this in 20 years. So 2028 is actually a real number. The timeline is getting real thin, and I would tell you it would be absolutely impossible without the AI. Right. We still hope to, I mean, you're talking about, in the next 2 or 3 years, tens of millions of dollars of equivalent value generation. I see a clear path for about $1 million level with the house sales, like immediately. And then there's much more to go. So we've got the realistic bottom line is any kind of a product that's not just a first prototype, but something that's actually you have multiple prototypes and tested and productized. It's no different really than the kind of effort any corporation has to take. It's a lot of effort. I mentioned 2,000 hours for that one house. And that's the fourth house. For every house we had, it's insane. So at this point, we do have a chance of still finishing and generating the revenue necessary to do it. But the point is it requires some significant budgets. It's not, very early on, we did things with very limited budgets, like $1,000, a couple of $1,000 a prototype. And that was like the first prototypes and all that, but it takes much more than that. But that, back to your question on the TED Talk, that was enough to spark the interest of many people, but it was far from the complete package at that time. Yeah.
How many are you, out of the 50, how many have you developed already?
So in terms of what we now call absolute full productization, it's only the house. The house is a commercially viable turnkey product. You can take plans right now, go into business. Everything else lags a little below that. We've sold things like the 3D printer, the brick press, a few tractors, and power cubes, but none of them are what I would call now the new standard of a full turnkey, robust, marketable product that you can actually run an enterprise with. That's that difference between like 90 to 95 or not even 99% developed and something that's ready for market. And that's the part that last mile problem is the killer, right?
Because you've got a lot of prototypes that just were proof of concept, and you've got them done and they work.
But as far as, like, for example, we've done like 4 prototypes of the CNC torch table, but we're actually not using our torch table right now. We used it for some previous builds, but we kept modifying things, so that thing still needs to get absolutely finished towards a packaged product, right? So that's the kind of game we're playing. Now, with
How
that said,
much
go ahead.
how much do you think AI will take, let's say your torch table? How much will you do you foresee that wow, now AI will what 10x,
Speed.
20x speed up the process?
Oh, yeah, yeah, it's about that. Like, I mean, in terms of the design effort, you're talking about from like hundreds of hours to a few hours, like that kind of stuff. But it's more about the idea, like once you generate some of the core modules, which is actually what we're doing. So the way we're approaching the 50 different tools is to generate about 500 different core modules. So here's the bearing shaft, here's a chain drive, here's stepper motors, here's precision rails, universal axis or frames. So we're taking it at that level. So once you have that, with AI, you can generate any next design in hours. Our very specific goal for the house right now is like, maybe 10 hours, even maybe up to 40 hours of design time per complete house, including the blueprints you submit to the building department, including all the fab drawings, bills of materials, and instructions, like 40 hours. It's all automated. So that's the kind of pattern. I would like to ask, though, how about
Go ahead.
you in terms of, because I remember you said, massive replication of the Miracle Orchard, right? How are you approaching that in terms of canning and cloning a model that's replicable, well-defined, specific enough, or maybe generative enough so you can adapt it to any climate? Like, how are you doing with that mission? Because that's something like I think we can help, even in CAD or computer-aided design. If you could put all the actual plants and imagine the iconic CAD, drag and drop into like we're actually planting everything on your computer screen and can render it fully. Like that kind of level, I think, in my view, would be that's when that thing is just knocked out of the ballpark. You've got all the bills of materials, multiple sourcing, including how you self-propagate these things. And then you can do CAD on it, you can teach lessons about it and so forth. So you have this whole product ecology that makes it super easy to replicate. Where are you at
We'll
on
definitely
that?
have
Let's collaborate.
we'll definitely have to talk because
Yeah.
what year did I do the virtual tour? Like 2019, 2018. Anyways, we made like a virtual tour available on his main website that people can go and tour, and it's like a dumbed down version of what you're talking about. But again, that's like almost a decade, well, technology wise. But they can go and view the orchard, and we made it immersive, so they can click on each shrub, each perennial, and information comes up and why he planted that there and whatnot.
What Marcin's talking about is when we were there, when I gave the course at his place, we were talking about like what's the elements to scale massively the orchard idea, and the building block, and you're always talking about building blocks, is trios. So basically have a few replicas of trios for each climate. And that's important because what works, and I would say, so the iteration variable number can be quite high. So let's say you take 10 zones. And in each zone, you have to have something for clay, you have to have something for sand, and then you can have something for loam, which is kind of your three extremes in soil types. So right there, that's already 30 different variations. But I mean, taking that and then scaling it so you have with each tree, you can choose a couple of shrubs. You choose for each tree 10 perennials, herbs, and perennial vegetables, and so on. And so but just like, you're saying 500 components for the whole set. Yes, it takes some number of variations to have that. It's really just I have not pursued it much further to say, okay, here's all the variables, we're ready to go, and propagating. I mean, it's not
Yeah, I mean,
complicated.
for us, the way we see it, so we talk about this, our facility here being a generator campus. So we want to replicate massively, but the way to do it is we definitely want to have that nursery. I ran a nursery here. All the trees in the orchard, I mean, half of them actually are from my nursery. I did all of that stuff. But on one side, have the ability to generate the plant stock. On another side, have the ability to do the full design and sort whatever sourcing. I definitely want to do that to the point where it's you literally have a complete package, an enterprise package, where it becomes very, very easy for people to replicate. That's exactly what we're trying to work on with the house itself. Here's a Canon clone package. You can get rapid immersion education. Here's all the rapid learning infrastructure for it. So I definitely want to talk to you guys about it. But if you can talk about, for now, I mean, what is the economic potential? Like say we have Factory Farm as a breeder campus. I call it breeder because we're breeding all this stuff. We use the idea of, if you've heard of universal basic assets, we call it universal basic production infrastructures, where once you have the core, you can propagate that. Like if you have the machines, you can make more machines. If you've got the plant stock, you can make more plant stock. If you have dirt, you can make brick for whatever. So you've got all those resources here, which could make replication happen at zero marginal cost. Near zero marginal cost. That it's ridiculously inexpensive. You can provide the whole package of training as well as the capitalization assistance, which means plant stock, machines, or whatever it takes, so that you can take your miracle orchard from 1 to 1,000 in rapid time, like within years. Like that's the kind of thinking we do here. I do want to follow up on that because I still see the miracle orchard. It's a product. It's like a tangible thing. It's not like, oh, go out there and start a random orchard. You've got much more definition than that, right? But it takes more than that for it to replicate. And that's exactly the kind of problem, the open distribution problem that we're trying to solve by canning it, by making it easy enough for others to replicate. So I look forward to collaborating on that.
Well, one of them, you've spoken about, it's been years, is your box idea, where basically, like, so he implements using the plastic mulch because it takes less maintenance time and everything. So we've discussed where you basically, like what you're suggesting, it would basically be come in a strip. The client would just have to install it, but all, like you said, all the instructions, A to Z is there, and then on it, it's already mapped out with the spacing and everything. So it's just drag and drop. We give a couple of suggestions for climate. Here, these are your shrubs that we suggest based on this. These are your nitrogen fixing. So it's really just like
it's like one-to-one scale blueprint.
Yeah, and depending, awesome. you can purchase different lengths of the rows depending on what fits in your space. Like this year, I've really taken a step back and reverse engineered him for, like, I guess I call them the normies, like people that have a backyard, but they love it and they want to do it. So how to create content focused to them? Because yes, I agree with you. If we can get it large scale, but I feel like it might help with the adoption if we get smaller scale first, build up the eyeballs, and then these orchards are going to get pressured because they're going to be like, well, it's either we rotate and pivot or we kind of get phased out a little bit. So that was one of the ideas. Another idea I've also had, and I will definitely talk to you after because I want to do a YouTube video about it, is designing some kind of a movable permaculture orchard. So again, it's something that can be placed out on a balcony. And they're designed in threes. So I work for, I guess it's the richest city here in Canada, if not the second. Anyways, so I see these residents that spend, I don't know, hundreds, maybe even $1,000 on these arrangements of trees that produce nothing. So to design something that's aesthetically pleasing so that these people will buy it, and instead of just putting a generic shrub in front of their multi-million-dollar, they have an orchard. And they can move it, they can interchange it, and they have a tree underneath, there's some kind of shrubs, and underneath that you have your perennials. So again, we give a suggestion, but it's like just drag and drop. So you'll have strawberries growing, and then you'll have, so now these people have personal chefs. So the chef doesn't even have to go to the market, they just go outside and they're just,
And everything's done to be the absolute lowest maintenance, because that's what kills any design project is how much maintenance is there in the back end.
Absolutely.
So, and like you, I'm using AI to come up with ideas for me, but I feel like you're probably better off doing this than I am. But it'd be something like that we could then highlight in a YouTube video to get the eyeballs and get, the movement, more adoption.
So here's what we're doing on the building front. modularity was a key factor, right? Right now we're taking it to basically incremental housing construction sets. So you have a few basic modules. We're looking at 12 by 20 footprints, stackable. So you've got the core module, roof module, PV module, decks, stairs, specialized modules such as here's a bathroom, kitchen modules. We're missing a planting module. So this could definitely be I haven't actually thought about movable planters like that. But
And I even thought where you could hook up, let's say, a solar panel, and it pivots, it moves it based on where the sun is. You could put it on a timer. I have all kinds of ideas, but
well,
yeah,
know,
it's
like,
just
trackers. So yeah, with hydraulics and small power cube, solar panel, and a hydraulic motor that's got the kind of torque, so you can have this thing RTK GPS through your land. Like we talk about yeah.
We create an app so that they can do their own vacation. Like I said, these people go to Italy. They have places all over, but they can check like day to day. It tells them what the soil temperature, like all the different things.
So this is actually a telegardening. If you have an app, you have a camera on it, right? Have you ever heard of telegarden? It's a thing from Austria.
No.
It's a thing where it's a circular thing, and you've got a video camera, and it's a robot that can plant and water, and you're controlling it remotely. So this was like an experiment at some museum, whatever, Linz, I think, in Austria, where people would actually control that garden remotely. That's so cool. You get this kind of fake participation, but taken to a logic like a real productive extreme, you can make it happen. Like all you need is a head that's actually planting, just planting, and then maybe just rip it out when it's done or whatever. But a real telegarden, that's not far away. And so this, what you're saying too, that could get into this telegarden, even if it's just I'm going to turn on the watering remotely for it.
Well, so I got the original idea from my brother-in-law, who's also a YouTuber. He was telling me maybe 2 weeks ago when I saw him that he wished kind of something like that existed. Yeah. But what he's gone out to do now is he's gotten, those Ring doorbells?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So he's done that, and he's remotely hooked it up via Bluetooth.
Mm-hmm.
So when he comes down or he's away, he's able to check on his plants.
Yeah.
Using that. But it's like, if you're going to that length, like, I just feel like that would be, even for us on the YouTube channel, you do a live stream. So now our audience can see the permaculture garden or box or whatever we call it grow. They can have input, what we plant for perennials, what we plant for shrubs. What we plant.
Yeah.
So you get the community involved.
You're discussing teleproduction. I started thinking a lot about that very recently. Like, this is part of the AI-inspired thoughts. You can do that in many, many contexts. Like I just described, you have this automated CNC lathe that makes metal parts, and you watch it. You actually upload the file. You can actually start it, and you can watch it in real time, right? So that kind of effort would be a critical link between all those consumers who can now start actually controlling these machines. For us, it's even where, so we are going to be building an RTK GPS tractor. It's controllable through the internet, and you can literally drive it. I want to get free myself, and this is for real. Foundations, they're abusive on the body. Like right now, I'm going to puke if I do the skid steer aggressively for a couple of hours, right? So automate that. Also allow remote control, so that now you're involving a more sedentary public and transitioning them into full production. So that's a big deal, I think.
That is really cool, actually.
Marcin, I'm going to drop one on you here.
Yeah.
My long-term goal, vision, one of my aspects for really making an impact, but changing the world for the better, is greening deserts.
Mm-hmm.
So the stat right now is we're losing 30,000 acres per day of land to desertification.
Is that serious? 30,000 acres a day?
Yes.
No. You serious?
Yeah. It's a lot of area. Mind you, it's around the world. You think of every desert around the world, and it's the areas adjoining the existing desert are becoming desertified. That's the stat. Anyway, so the idea would be to have, and I remember watching a video about the Voyager on Mars, the Voyager robot or rover, and thinking, wait a minute, how is this possible? That that rover is out there on Mars, and people here on Earth
Can see.
are directing it, not just seeing, but they're directing. Yes, there's a lag in all this. I get it. But they're directing it from Earth to do things, to go places. And I thought, wait a minute.
Exactly.
Deserts are inhospitable often. I mean, it's not a place you want to go and have a vacation. It's harsh.
Wow.
It can be very hard. Can we then build, and I got really excited when I started to run AI through it, and let's work on some of the designs for this, just as a well, not theoretically even, but just let's work through some possible design. So the idea of there's 3 technologies right now used in deserts to hold water, because deserts have one characteristic: they flood in the very short rains because they're so intense, the ground is so dry, and the water just runs off. So it's not a problem of how much water. The problem in the deserts is how much water is kept. So the technologies we know that have really made a difference for deserts, and Jeff Lawton has been a big inspiration for that, with swaling. So swaling is just ditches on contour. As soon as we put a ditch on contour in a desert area, we've captured millions of liters of water. So, okay, there's one. The other one is Dr. Dixon had a land imprinter,
anyway,
which basically...
Can I interrupt? Absolutely amazing. We should actually absolutely follow up on that, because that's like teleoperations, open source bulldozers, and all the kind of stuff we do, including the slow solar operation, where if you put PV panels on this, even like a kilowatt of PV panels will get a 20-ton bulldozer moving very slowly, but you can let it go autonomous. So let's follow up and
and you'll probably get lots of sun in the desert. So
I mean, we'll have to schedule another Zoom and just start crunching this, because it's absolutely exciting, and there is funding for it I could get. So
holy cow. And that's where we can really just knock the iconic CAD out of the ballpark. This is exactly what you could do. So you've got the drag and drop. Here's all the parts for a simple tractor. Once we have this, I can teach you that in minutes and hours. All you need to know is the basic design rules. We already have the engineered parts and the so-called expertise embedded production system, like the modularity. We already tested parts. We know these things work. So let's take this to the ballpark.
And you get the eyeballs, because that's a main channel YouTube video as well.
Absolutely. Stefan, your next point was, before I interrupted you? So you said
that was it.
So the desert. Well, you told me about the desert.
So one is swales, the second one is land imprinting, and the third is low rock dams.
What land imprinting? Tell me more about that. You didn't.
Oh, land imprinting is simply, imagine you're putting little square cups in the land. You're printing or imprinting the land to have a little water catchment, mini water catchments all across the landscape.
Okay.
And so this has been proven. It's worked very well in the U.S., in Arizona, and so on. So these are things that, there are technologies that exist. It's like, this is proven, it's shown. How can we take those existing technologies and teleoperate them, where we deploy, and the idea would be that you have to deploy enough of them in a watershed. So we go watershed by watershed. So we say, okay, we're transforming this watershed, and you always start from the top of the watershed, because if you do have a rain, you've already held that water at the top. It's not coming and washing away your work at the bottom. So you start at the top of the watershed. You create all these 3 different, depending on the soil type, depending on the landscape. I mean, it could be rocky, so you go heavier on the machines that do the rock moving. If it's clayey type that'll hold swales well, then you use the grader type that's doing the swale. So it's combining these 3 types of technologies that are proven. That's the nice thing. It's not, we'll prototype. The only prototyping is to create a machine, and you don't need a person in it. You don't want a person in it. And each of them, you have, it's a setup with, like, it's a construction set. So the drone flies, does LiDAR mapping, lays out, here's the path for this, that,
Yep.
and then it goes. And the goal would be to reach 60,000 acres per day of landscape restored, so that you're basically just waiting for the next rain, and it starts to accrete. Now it's holding water. Now you can go in round two and do
Holy
aerial
cow.
tree planting and the whole gamut, because now you have the water being held on the landscape. Your grass is going to come in naturally. You're going to have all kinds of native plants come in naturally, and you build from there. But once you hold the water in a desert, you absolutely transformed it. It's an accreting, it's, you said, regenerative. It's a totally regenerative landscape that will just get better with time.
Wow.
Anyway.
That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
What I really like about this is I talk about true unicorns, $1 trillion unicorns, like that kind of level. The regeneration that has to happen is $1 trillion scale, and it needs to happen fast and at scale. What I like about this desert, it's a very concrete example. Here's 60,000 acres per day that we're aiming for. So very clear goal, and then we just back engineer it. Okay, what do we need to do it? What are the resources? And let's do it. And I just went on ChatGPT. Yes, 30,000 hectares a day. I can't believe that.
Hectares. Oh yeah,
See,
hectares.
I really like him. Like, I feel like I'm okay because I try and
You like the idea of reverse engineering. He always thinks reverse engineer. I mean,
I just thought I was always weird.
that's why I said in the beginning that
No.
it's like Sheldon, because he thinks first principles. Marcin's been trained on first principles. So he looks at a problem and he looks at, okay, let's take at the basic building blocks to solve that problem.
Yes.
And all of his work is an example of that. You really, we're going to put the links to OSE and all of your works, your TED Talk, and people who love the idea of innovation and building and making a change and making impact. And if people want to collaborate, I mean, he really opened my eyes a lot when I went. It was like, wow, I never even thought of this world, and how it can be. There could be that kind of effort, and it's just guided. It's guided effort to reach a goal. That's that's why the idea of the desert and so on. It's like, okay, if we were going to do it now, let's have the goal in mind. Let's reverse engineer, and it's got to be scalable. It's got to be fast. It's got to be modular. It's all these are just building blocks.
Yeah, I love it. And it's kind of, that's a lot of the kind of thinking I have. It's the idea, well, what's the infrastructure that's needed to happen to change the world? So it's not like wishful thinking. No, it's a question of missing infrastructure. Here's what we need to build. And it's a design problem. It's not like some kind of a fate problem that we're doomed to die, or the AI apocalypse is here. No, it's all our choice at all times, and we got to build the infrastructures to get there. Yeah. I love it.
I see we have time for a couple more questions, Marcin. What novel angle on integrating future tech like AI-assisted design, modular collaboration, or community-scale fabrication do you think could truly transform regenerative orchards and small farm systems in the next decade?
Yeah, taking the exactly Iconic CAD plus Miracle Orchard scaled massively across enterprises and places worldwide. We can do this. That's absolutely realistic. So we should actually think about, okay, let's start operationalizing this. Let's start getting the designs in there. One thing that actually comes to mind, we're big on 3D printing. How about that landscape cover, or your 3D printed? You can 3D print a big roll even on a small bed. You can actually print a curled up, vertical 3D print a thing on a regular print bed, and you can put all your holes in there and even annotations. This is your plum, pear, and apple here.
That's it, like perforated, so it's like pre-cut. So they just have to, with a finger, they just go like this, and it just open. Okay, that's where the perennial goes. Oh, and then these are the options of perennials for this climate. Like, you sell basically a kit, a one-stop shop, you're saying.
And that's doable. That's a combination of some design work, open source, Miracle Orchard, Iconic CAD, and modern AI. And we can knock it out of the ballpark.
And then even to spread the word on his main channel or whatever, you just highlight these because that would make for another cool main channel YouTube video. You just going traveling the world to see what people are coming up with, what combinations,
Absolutely. And if you think
So-
about radical collaboration on that, think about on one side the people who'd be interested, and then get a party bus. We're going across the world to do this. Like I
World
actually
tour,
I thought about like literally like a cruise ship or party bus or floating down the Mississippi, because some of these problems you just got to get a whole bunch of people around the problem, first design it and then implement it. So we can implement it we can roll down like Tom Sawyer down the Mississippi. We do like a week of design of this system and prototyping, and when we land, we actually implement one or whatever.
I like that. I like that because I mean, nothing like getting people around food
Yeah.
too.
Oh yeah.
It's like I
And
remember
even-
you're at the farm. You had
Yeah.
the kitchen was one of the most important aspects because it's such a congregating element.
Right.
Why we have to finish the pizza oven this year.
It's been 4 years.
Because I know that if you can say, here, you know what, let's do a round of something, collaborate on one project, and then we have pizza tonight.
pizza party.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's always
So I mean, the perennial problem that we're trying to solve, like I look back at the Miracle Orchard experience with you, Stefan, and it's like we were still having problems getting people. Like it's an amazing thing. Not too many people show. What do we have? Like maybe 12 or something, or
no, there was 20 people.
okay, that's better than I thought. But always the challenge is how do you get the number of bodies required to actually get involved?
Right.
So that's with
I mean,
now
we
think
can even
solve
run-
that much better.
We can run contests too. Whoever has the most, and it's voted on by the fans or whatever. But that just gets eyeballs out there. You have a bunch of different
Yeah.
creators or people that are trying different combinations, and it just shows the usability. How easy was it, A to
Yeah,
Z,
exactly.
to follow this?
And
Marcin.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I'm saying we've been developing our media channels. Are you guys aware that we just got 32 million on the Instagram video on how I found true freedom?
Yes, I saw that one.
Even me,
right.
I commented. I'm like, there's
Yeah,
so many followers on Instagram
So
for
right
the amount
now-
of posts, but
Yeah, I mean, we can
Yeah.
do dedicated campaigns. We can do the outreach and get lots of people interested. So let's just prepare, have something really cool, and let's make it happen.
If you could wave a wand and have the global permaculture community adopt one underappreciated aspect of the OSC approach, what would it be and why?
Well, integrated polyculture, integrated polyculture, a business model that is robust enough to scale rapidly. Like we don't have that, but between Miracle Orchard, perennial polyculture, like we've got nuts. I mentioned nuts and hazelnuts here, aquaponic greenhouse that we've done, just plain field crop and an integrated design. I mean, we're trying to, that's not really a specific product in a global village construction set, but it's a combination of a lot of the machines, including things like we do have a bakery oven and robotic dairy milker in the set because those are pretty important to human food security. But once again, getting around to integrate a viable, robust business model that can actually scale, because the missing link is really it's the integration aspect. Like nobody has enough energy to do this themselves. It takes too much knowledge. But now if we just get that awareness that and then with AI that can accelerate things so much, but the awareness of abundance that we can collaborate, we can solve massive problems, we can do it. But it's a coordination problem, right? How do you get all these wild people collaborating? It's a thing that why centralization took over the world, right? You can force people to do stuff. How do you do that same kind of process in a more open way? So I'm rambling, but the thing from the GVCS would be to swarm around a replicable enterprise model for agriculture. And there's progress on it. And other collaborators producing a very tight, here's how you get absolutely your complete food diet from all these very detailed plans. Unlike anything I've seen, because I mean, you see a lot of things. Oh yeah, grow all these crops, and here's your garden design. This is more refined than anything I've seen. So there's good potential, but it takes the work and the integration, the the AI assisted integration that's now available, that we can make all this happen and knock Walmart food shopping out of business.
Marcin, knowing what you now know, you've learned a lot in many different areas.
Yeah.
If you had to start over today again, what would you do differently?
I actually don't know, and I thought about this because there's one easy shot I can get you is get to productization of one thing faster. But
Good point.
at the same time, because then we can be at this time where we can make 100K in as little as 5 days, because it takes 1,000 hours to build this house. Give me 24 people in 5 days, I'll make you 100K. I can do that. It's a heroic effort. We don't have the infrastructure to do that replicably. That's what we're working on. The house business model with 24 people is a 5 million per net annual business. So that's what we're working to. Okay, enterprise models. At some point, we should have productized something to get the revenue streams back in.
Right.
Now, and that took so much time to get to, because a lot of times we were still hoping, whatever, we'll get funding or we'll get recognized and this will just take off, but nothing did, right? So that's maybe one thing I would change. Get to product quicker so you can get bootstrapping revenue feeding back into the project.
Right.
Yeah. With that said, what's the base revenue model for a Miracle Orchard? If say one or two people do it full time, or even one person, there's an aggressive.
Are you talking about the establishment phase or the production phase?
I mean, start from zero. No. I know there's a huge setup phase, but once you're in production, what is the revenue potential of this that you can net?
The goal, we had a student work on this one year, and the theoretical, we've never reached it, but it is possible if you put people there. It's basically the most time is the harvesting. Because you think, well, we'll plant, but you know how long, even if your maintenance is minimal to keep it going, but just to harvest all the production of it, it's staggering. So we know that you could generate $1 per square foot or $10 per square meter. That's the potential revenue stream from an area. So if you said 1 acre, well, on 1 acre fully planted like this, where everything is harvested that could be harvested, you could make $43,500.
It might be more than that now, though, because
that was a few years ago.
Yeah,
yes.
But
it's a good number to wrap your head around. Because when you say 1 acre, well, it's equivalent to, or considering a market gardener, you need far more effort once it's established to keep it going and plant and harvest. This is really the person involved or the people involved. It's all just harvesting pretty well.
Because again, to go back to the A to Z, we did a video. It's not out on his main channel yet, but he challenged me to plant 2 trios for $1,000 in 48 hours.
And that's the very expensive version.
Yeah, like I could have cut costs, I could have done all kinds of things, but just to show that it's possible. So let's say it costs you, let's just say $1,000, and even if you did it with 2 or even by yourself, 2 days, that $1,000 and that small area, the amount that would produce
in 5 years,
insane.
Each tree could produce half of that
per tree,
and you have 6 trees.
And that's actually my experience too. Like first I was, can we plant things and can things grow? And then we found, oh man, you cannot.
It's the harvest.
It's overproduction. Everything is overproduction.
Exactly.
Even with the brick press. Initial goal was to get 3 bricks per minute. The first machine got 10. So it's like, no, production is not the issue.
Exactly.
And you can have extremely robust enterprise models around all of this stuff. And especially if the model here that it's like direct economics is if you have a community that actually produces and uses a lot of what it produces. Oh man,
right.
You could have such complete abundance. And that's the model, part of the model we're developing. It's like, okay, here's a campus, you're learning, you're producing things, but also a real community. Like we can actually do the import substitution, but down to even more advanced technology and things like solar hydrogen, or then even smelting silicon from sand to make photovoltaics, recycling aluminum to make your frames for the PV, so you're doing local production of photovoltaics, like that kind of stuff. I mean, it's all so doable. It's really about people, one, getting the abundance mindset to actually understand that this is even possible, and two, it's like, learn from there, just learning it. But now learning can be done much more rapidly with AI and things like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm super excited. I feel like we're gonna definitely have to have him back on the show.
Yeah.
And then for everybody that's watching, because even me now, do you have any, like, a website? Where can people find you or look into your different projects?
Go to learn.opensourceecology.org. I don't know if you guys have seen it. That's for the Future Builders Academy. So there's learn.opensourceecology.org, or just opensourceecology.org to find out more. I also
in your socials.
Yeah, I put a link to the. I mean, you can look up OSC Facebook and Instagram. The Instagram's got the big audience right now, and I put a link to that in the chat, as well as there's another link I put in there.
It's pretty wild. Looking through it, I was like, wait a minute, Marcin, how can you have a video where it says 20 years ago?
Yeah.
I was like, well, yeah, that was the very, very early days of YouTube. You already started putting things out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we're getting up a new website, but you can share the Iconic CAD link. I put it in the chat, so don't close it before you look at the links.
But for people that are listening on audio, do you have like a... Like,
yeah,
can you give the...
On audio, go to oscdemo.abundancemarketing.us. So that's we're working on a site. It's in production right now. It's going to go on a main website, but the Iconic CAD is described there, the whole notion. So if you do any, if you put a comment below this video, make sure you link to that. That's a good overview description of that.
We'll have all those links in the show notes.
I'll put them all in the show
whether it's on video or an audio.
Yeah.
Marcin,
how often is your podcast? You do it weekly or?
Every 2
weeks.
Okay.
Every 2 weeks.
And a fast 5 will be, so it makes every week there's a video.
Yeah, and this is actually inspiring. So I don't have a podcast. I will start one, right? So that's going to be coming up. That's once we get in our next phase. Basically, got to start preaching this to the whole world. So.
Okay, so maybe we'll probably have you back on this one. But if ever we can do a follow up with you, if we can post that on ours, and that'll be a good startup for you guys over there.
Yeah. So let's. So our follow-ups are the desertification work.
Yeah.
And some of the productization around the Miracle Orchard. Like let's make it happen. Mm-hmm.
Let's do it. All right. Good job, Pops.
Good job, guys. Well,
thank you.
See you soon.
Yeah, that's honestly it's just like I said. It's nice to know that I'm not just like a weird person that reverses engineers everything.
Marcin, thank you. It was great to reconnect. It's been a while, and things just get going. But I was glad to see the house building is, because I knew or understood when I first came, and that really it was the cash flow that was always the limiting factor. It was having something that you sold that generated the revenue, because it was start this one and do this one, and so you were always working on basically whatever there was enough energy and excitement to get going on.
Yeah.
But if you had the cash flow coming where you can now hire a few key people and then keep that, because there was so many people who were absolutely hardcore gung-ho and ready to go. If they could just have enough to sustain them that they could actually devote full time on that, my goodness,
because even like you were saying with it's really cool how you build the module, like homes and everything. But if they were able to implement some kind of plant system in that, like if you have your browser, we just started looking, it's called the Awk Mini 2. So basically it's a miniature hydroponic, but they made it look super nice, and it's very like, oh, I'd like to get one of those.
But their scale that he's talking is always, it's a bigger scale. It's outside.
I agree, but that's what I'm saying. If you design something like that for the exterior, but like he says that you can check it on your phone, and you make it really.
But I wouldn't just because the oak is hydroponic?
No,
And
I know.
we're
I'm
talking
saying
in
that's just
soil?
the product that I'm comparing it to.
Okay.
I'm not
In
saying
the
you
look
like,
and
yes,
yes.
just to stylize it in that so that it gets people like, ooh, what is that? Wait, I want one of those for my house. Wait, like I said, working in Westmount, I see it all the time. It's like these people spend, I don't know how much, hundreds of dollars on these arrangements, but it's just like a boring shrub or whatever. Where if you can package something in that style that people can purchase, and then you give them the chance or the opportunity to swap whatever they want based on wherever they are, and you can upkeep it, you can check, you're in control of it. I feel like that.
What
is
kind
a
of price
definite-
point would you say? Like, say we truck in, on a flatbed, you bring in a ready module with fruit trees. How much would people be willing to pay for? What
I
do you
would
think?
say because each
Ideally,
tree that would be
hold on,
planted,
wait,
potted,
ideally, we work with different nurseries around the world. So right away, the client gets a better price and the nursery gets, I don't know, something. I'm sure you have enough reach that we could, depending where they are, like let's say you scale it so it starts in the States and then it builds up. So right there, then you send them the suppliers list, I guess, of plants, and they select like what Ock does. You pick a package of like, I don't know, one tree, X amount of shrubs, X amount of perennials. Boom, it's this price. And then depending on what the tree is, the price fluctuates. But it's all a la carte, so it's really customized to the client.
Orca is this Scandinavia thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's a tabletop
Yeah.
format.
But they made it so it's click, like you can plant whatever you want. You don't have to buy their seeds. A lot of the other ones, you have to buy their seeds. So that's one of the.
And people just planted themselves, or is there any automation in this? Like, what's the automation?
It has a reservoir, so you put in whatever you want. You could put the minerals, whatever you want, into the water, as much water as you want, and you set it all up.
Yeah. And is this thing got a good market, or this is kind of fringe?
We've reached out to see if they'll sponsor us. They're not even taking sponsors because apparently their stuff just sells out. Like they make limited runs, I guess. So they don't even need us to like push the product, which I'm not used to, but it is what it is.
Marcin, your big focus now is the Building Institute.
Yeah, but with it comes the fact that once you join the program, we're developing the whole global village construction set. We do building 2 days a week, and 3 days are other learning and R&D.
Okay.
Yep. So these kinds of things, like when we talk about building up the campus, if we could have some of these mobile grow beds and things that you can move around, it's actually pretty interesting. Like, because the campus itself, we're aiming to design it such that with a telehandler you can reconfigure it. So you can take a module and put it elsewhere on a site. Or
That's
whatever.
why it's so. That's wicked. Like people would for sure jump at that. That's so cool.
First time I realized I'd been thinking about that, and I read an article about a guy in Nova Scotia, Canada, that actually had the article was titled "A Mobile Orchard."
Yeah.
And I thought, what? A mobile orchard?
Yeah, that's a good name. A mobile orchard. That's a better name.
The guy simply used, and if you're seen in apple growing areas, it's these bins, right? The bins is the unit it's not a bushel anymore. This is a bushel, which is the old unit for harvesting. It's the bin, which is 18 bushels. So it's a standard unit. You might even see them in your fruit store or grocery store where they bring this in on a forklift. And that's the unit, the standard unit. So what the guy simply did was he planted trees in each of these bins. But what he did was he planted peach trees, which are marginally hardy in Nova Scotia. So he said, you probably get 1 year out of 3, you'll get a harvest outside. And the other 2 years, your tree freezes. So he was like, well, I'd like to get peaches every year. And so what he would do is he'd take these trees, he would move them into a greenhouse for the winter. And in the greenhouse, he said they flowered in February. So what he did was he said, okay, I'm going to grow Georgia peaches that we can't even grow here, that we grow the hardiest things. And so, but it's, wait, you can grow much better quality peaches. You take them and then you roll them out and put them in orchard rows in the spring.
Oh wait, can we reverse engineer and just eliminate the greenhouse? If you have some kind of a heating element that keeps the soil warm enough, that's powered by solar, would it make it so that the roots wouldn't freeze back?
Well, the first thing is if you're doing a mobile orchard, you're doing one that could stay outside
And
and
that's
not
what I
be a
mean.
problem.
So you don't have to move it.
But the best is do it without the added, bells and whistles. It
Okay.
just the
Just make
tree
it an option.
survive.
Maybe somebody doesn't want that, but again, if you make an option, just like he was saying, so you build that big box, that's where the tree goes, and I guess you would put the shrubs underneath.
Yes.
But the perennials will get boxed out, not enough sun. So you just make these inserts on the side that allow them to be aimed at the sun, like your plastic barrel that you did.
Yeah.
So now those that would get shaded are also away enough from the tree, but they're incorporated into this portable orchard.
Yeah. I mean, the portable orchard, the guy, when I spoke, because I called him up, I was so excited. I thought, hey, and when I was talking with him, he said, you know what? He said, even if this wasn't profitable, he said, I would still do it
You make it fun.
because of all the media he gets. He says every year, every 2 years, there's no, 2 out of 3 years, there's no peach crop. But it's like, hey, their farm has peaches. So he says, I get the TV crews to come. They're filming. Look, it's peach harvest on our peach trees that are mobile and this and that. And he said, just that. He said they also had a big fruit stand. And he said, just that just sells out on all the other things we've got. And it's well worth it if you do that. But
So
yes, absolutely.
Okay, so here's a concrete proposal. So we run people in 24-person cohorts. I toyed with the idea of going from multiple cohorts started the very first year, pending some collaboration. Like, for example, what if we start a 24 cohort dedicated to productizing all these things and replicating the kind of big picture stuff we're talking about with respect to Miracle Orchard? How would you like that? So we can collaborate with your guidance and collaboration, we work on that together, and then you're an instructor in our program and things like that. Would that be interesting to you?
It would help advance it, because right now my bottleneck to having, because I've done
the idea.
several prototypes for over 25 years, where at first I thought, okay, I'll just use craft paper, a 3-foot or 4-foot roll of craft paper. You unroll it, and I would print out paper things, so printing on craft paper, and these are just glued on.
But you have to measure where
You have to measure it. You put a template down, and on the template it shows which plant goes where, and you just glue it on. And that was one. And then when I started at the orchard to use plastic, I realized, oh my gosh, like, it's not just establishing it, it's the ease of maintenance. It's like, wow, there's no way I could take care of 2,000 trees and all the plants if it wasn't covered in plastic, because it just saves me so much time.
Weeding,
There is,
and the mower goes right over, like, if it's
so it works. Anyway, so I tested that. And then the idea is, well, what if we print directly? I mean, there is things printed right on plastic. So I looked it up, and the widest you could do a 4-foot
strip.
laser printer or dot matrix printer that would print on wide sheets. So you print your plan out, and it basically, your roll is unrolling, and your printer's going and printing the blueprint, which is basically what it is. It's just a one-to-one
And
blueprint.
it's already all spaced out for the client.
Everything's
They don't
spaced,
have to
everything's
adjust
put in the right place.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't cut out the holes. The idea is, here's the dotted line.
But I was saying to perforate it.
You
So
could
you just go
perforate.
like this with your finger.
Yeah, you could do that.
As they're planting the plant, it just opens up.
That's a separate step, though. That's not just a print. That's a laser cutter to cut the plastic.
Okay. It's just because I can see that being a thing where people, they cut it themselves and they cut too much, or they don't.
Yeah.
So if we make it,
it would be even better if you burned it. That's what people do, is they burn the plastic, because then it hardens the edges. So your edges you can't tear the edge, basically. So that's
Now
one
the
way of
same
doing
thing,
it.
like what you're discussing, that's 3D printable materials territory. So you have all the cuts, and it's not a template, it's the thing.
So you're printing out through plastic?
yeah.
That's
you
exactly
print
what
out-
I said. Yeah, you can
Okay.
print various plastics. So that's the kind of stuff we can talk about. Like, let's develop that. I think that would
And
be a great
especially
idea.
because you've used enough plastic, so you want a plastic that's gonna hold up to the sun, that's gonna be weather
Sure.
like that's not gonna need to be replaced.
But it's hard to compete against something like agricultural plastic, which is so cheap for the size.
I know the game change is what I did not mention, and that's called a shredder and recycled plastic. You get a trash
Right.
bale for $50, and you're coming in at probably one third to one fifth the cost of the commercial plastic.
And you advertise that as recycle, so that's even better.
So
People would.
that's low hanging fruit for us. We've built 3D printers. This is like the perfect kind of stuff to actually engage on. Um,
And it
now,
just it comes in a box. Everything is
Yeah.
there. They can order it based off of, like I said, if they have a backyard. So all they need to do is measure their backyard with a tape measure. Everybody can do that. And then in like on the website, there's a drop down. Okay, how many feet do you want? Do you want one
yeah,
trio length, two,
I
three,
really, yeah, I
and
really
they
look
just
at it.
unroll it and install it. I
Yeah.
think that's the hardest part, because even when I did it, I used a shovel. So basically, you create like divots, and then you lift it up, insert the plastic, and then just like stomp on it. That's
But
like,
you have to, if you want to run a mower over it, you have to have the plastic held in tight.
yeah,
And you
Hmm.
can't just weigh it down. That won't work. You can't have just the
Mistakes.
plants because if the edge flaps, as soon as you run a mower, you're going to suck that plastic. So you have to do, there's a minimum. But then the thing is, when people do this, they go, hey, but this is I didn't just drop and had nothing. I did a little bit of shovel work. I did a little bit of trowel work.
Oh, there's
Because
plenty of work.
ideally,
That's
yeah.
that's not going to be the shortage in this.
but
It's
it's
not
just
like
we
cracking an egg
we see it.
for,
It's just
for
we see all the
pastry.
time in our comments on the YouTube channel. That's the biggest thing, pops. Is people, well, what's the spacing? Oh, well, what do I plant? If you eliminate that, and the hardest part is them planting plastic, like
Yeah.
I see that being a huge market for it.
And ideally, what you'd want to do is you put it right down, like I did originally with the orchard rows. You put it right on the grass. So you're not tilling, you're not moving, you're not mixing soil, but you have to give the plastic a bit of time to
To
work.
adjust.
So you give it 2, 3 weeks where it really kills the grass back, and then you open the holes. I know people are excited. I want to. So you sell them the plan. They have to put it in,
Yeah.
and then when they confirm I put the plastic in, then there's a clock. So many days later, they
They
receive
get
the
a
package of plant.
notification or whatever. Yeah.
Because you don't want to have people with the plants where they don't know how to take care of plants and they're waiting. Oh, I'm not going to wait. I'm just going to put them in. And now you have the grass growing in. The plant's small. If you have grass really competing, it's going to grow around every plant. And then it's like, oh, it looks like shit. And so, no, you do it where it kills back the grass. Your grass is severely weakened. Then you make a whole put of plant. And that plant is growing because the irrigation's under the plastic. So it's like, yeah, just give it the water and you put an automatic irrigator. Anyway, there's, yeah.
What are your priorities these days? So how much time do you actually spend on the Miracle Orchard itself these days?
Gee, not much. Like, well, I don't farm it anymore.
No.
Like, I maintain it, but
Are
I'm
you
not
selling? You're not
asking.
selling the product?
We do, but we don't, like, I'm not pushing it. Like I said, the biggest job would be to harvest everything. So instead, we have the membership, so people come and pick,
Yeah.
and we're open only about 12 days a year. And on those days, they come. So
Or
all
you're
they're
donating
asking,
now.
and I donate a lot of
So
fruit.
they come and pick it and bring it back to the food
basically
bank.
tons of food for food banks. So what I'm looking to do is just the farm, I just want it to pay its own direct costs. So whatever expenses are related to the farm, it covers it. I'm not looking to make my living from the farm anymore like I did. That's why we don't keep animals because they just take so much more time, even though they're profitable, but it's the time you have to be there that I don't want to be tied to it. Like I have to go. I go when I want to go. I go when I use the farm now as my gym,
I
as
feel like
my
you go
mental
more
sanity.
often now. Now that you don't have to go, he goes
No,
often.
I don't. I don't go more. I used to be 5 days a week there and have somebody there on the weekend. That's how
Okay. I feel like you're still there 5 days a week, but all right.
it's for the fun of it. I mean, I enjoy it.
Mhm.
Marcin does. What's your when you say, okay, I'm gonna have a day off? What am I gonna do? What's your most?
I was gonna ask
enjoyable
that
thing?
question. I was gonna be like, how often do you get to garden or go outside?
Haven't done the agriculture part. I mow here and there, but no. I mean Sunday I do this, just relax a little bit. But actually, it's actually about studying the human side, because we're talking about an integrated human program. So one side is technology, but we lead with moral intelligence and ability to problem solve and grow as a human, all that. So I study that, you know.
So you take your days off to study,
I do. I
basically.
do. Like, I don't have a life right now, but that's a gap. I'm identifying that as a gap in terms of when we build a community here. That in itself is fulfilling, but also I was actually thinking of like Sundays we set up some kind of a salon or something where you actually have dedicated social time, so people, so people actually cultivate that aspect as well.
Yeah.
So
That's why, like I said, for us, the goal this summer is to do the pizza oven because it is a way of gathering people socially.
but why, but you're asking a good question, because I want to be doing it. Like the orchard part is pretty much how I started this place, right? The first thing was to get the orchard up, get the nursery and other things, and I really love that. Like, for example, I mean, I still harvest the stuff, like when the nuts, like for the first time last year, just had a ton of nuts with it, the chestnuts, just amazing. I love that, and it's just great. So
It's
I
your
want to get,
Polish roots.
yeah. The
Because even his
pomologist.
granddaughter loves that too.
Yeah, isn't it? But it's like it's awesome just to think about it, that you can have all of that, and so that I want to get back to it, like where my life is after we save the world, right? What do? Become
Well,
poets
you know
and
what, Marcin, the you mentioned a few times, we can absolutely have abundance. That's why my goal is just to get people started with two trios. Because when they do that and they have a fruit tree after year 4, 5, 6, whatever the fruit tree they
And they
choose,
get the first
and they
harvest.
get, no, not the first, when they get the first full harvest, where like this tree could produce, a tree, it's nothing to produce 60 pounds to 200 pounds. Once they get that, they realize, oh my God, what am I going to do with all this? They taste, most people have never tasted, they've lived a scarcity mindset their whole life.
yeah,
They've never tasted abundance. To me, abundance and the orchard is a great way where they
yeah, yeah,
go,
yeah, yeah.
what am I going to do with all this? They're forced to share.
Yeah, they get the neighbors, the friends, the neighbors' friends. Yeah.
It's like, I got to do something. I'm not
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
let it
yeah.
waste. So they get a taste of abundance. And I say, it really changes people. When they taste,
Wow,
wow, if I have abundance in fruit, what else can I have abundance with? And it
good
makes
point.
you open to, oh, wow, wait a minute.
That's why I was gonna ask you, because for me, the way that I describe it is like the most difficult thing I ever did in the beginning. I looked at it as a locked door, and once I accomplished that, the door opened, and on the other side of the door, I had two more doors. But knowing that I already got through that first one and thought it was impossible, these ones are like, okay, it's possible now. Open the second one. And then you have three doors. So it's getting to that first door that you're like, oh,
Huh.
okay, I did this. What else can I? So when you were talking before, I was going to use that analogy because I feel like you were saying that was your first aha moment.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
at the time, you weren't ready to receive it or whatever. So I really like that that's what it is. So I feel like that's the block. As soon as somebody creates that, they're like, wow, okay, now what else can I do in my life that doesn't even relate to this?
Exactly,
But I never thought that was possible. Boom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the explicit goal is in 4 years, the personal outcome. You learn a rigorous skill called the abundance mindset. That's not a hippie ideal. That's a skill set and mindset, and
Yeah.
that's our explicit
It,
goal.
it
I like it that
changes.
you. Thanks for reminding me about the abundance of trees. I mean, absolutely, yeah,
Like you had abundance of chestnuts. Like, wow,
exactly, yeah,
my goodness, this is more than I need just for me. Or, I mean, you was your first year probably didn't have, it was just now you'd have a supply for a long time.
yeah, 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 exactly.
Marcin, we got to get going. We're
Yeah,
got
Yeah, we'll
for,
definitely have to have you back. Like
yeah.
now my mind's spinning for that mobile orchard. I want
yeah,
one.
yeah. I mean, let's definitely follow up. So let's organize our thoughts and see what things we can actually. But I was gonna ask. So Stefan, you do you have like, I mean, for example, if we were to incorporate the Miracle Orchard like as a dedicated course for the, but this isn't, we're not talking about like next month, we're talking about probably like next year.
2 years or next year. Yeah.
Next
Yeah,
next year
I
probably.
would, I would
mean,
be back. Sure.
But yeah, that, but I mean, even just remotely to, run,
Okay.
prepare some curriculum and do some of that. And in the meantime, probably see if we can develop some of these actual concepts we were talking about.
Yeah. I mean, curriculum, we've got like
We didn't even
we've
talk
got
about
the
it,
master
but
class that
I could give
basically
you.
was cloning me. So I don't have to be there to teach you because it's everything I teach in a 4-day course. It's all there. And what is it up to?
It's a couple days worth of content. But
Over
if
2 days of content.
if you want, I could get you a coupon. It's $2,500, but I could just give it to you, and you can browse through that. And if that's something that's satisfactory, or you think we need to tailor it, at least it's a base of it's years of what he's learned into a course.
Yeah. Send it over. And yeah, I mean, if we could make that into, like, directly into curriculum, yeah. I mean, that would be great. Great way to leverage that. Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to see it as an open curriculum in the sense that that's something that right now is one of our main drivers economically, but it definitely is the foundation. I mean, I've got it in a workflowy where it's an outline, and anyway, it's I'm really excited about the desert stuff, honestly, Marcin, because I kind of want to eventually transition to next phase. And the desert is just such a huge problem. Like in the temperate climates, orchards are not usually limiting. They're a great open door, and that's why we focus on a lot of information for getting people established and started. Because once they get going, it takes a while to get going. But the desert stuff is one. I'm sure it's already feasible. All the technologies are out there and ways of building and scaling. Anyway, AI has been.
And so, what do you think you could contribute to that? Like, would you actually do like what workflow design, actual machine development? Like,
I would love to see the prototypes. I mean, I'm not necessarily skilled in the design of the CADs and so on, but I absolutely would love to see prototypes being able to be deployed to try, because that's all. I mean, I saw it at your place. You know, you come out with a prototype and then you iterate on it to get in 2 or 3 generations. It's like, now we got a machine that, look, we can go to people there's so many people who have huge foundations and things, and it's like, look, this is a goal we're aiming for. Would you like to be part of it?
And do a main channel video, so you'd have the eyeballs on that project right away from the start, though.
Yeah,
like that actually.
Visibility. You know what? There is I love the stuff by Peter Diamandis. He talks about moonshots. Let's go for the big goals, and that's where. But when I said funding, he's got up to I think it's $3 million that is a prize. It's like an X Prize thing, where if they say, hey, your project, so the first thing is a 3-minute teaser. It's a teaser to a film. So then the film is the funding to basically establish your prototype, and let's get going and let's do this. Let's get started. So
are you saying a film? Were you saying we're producing that film, or you're talking about the platform?
Well, I'm saying if you win the prize, which is through the teaser, it's like a film trailer. So you produce first. We would just produce a film trailer that explains the process, explains the goal, and explains what you don't have to have a prototype.
The origin story.
Here's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
And then the funding is to produce a Hollywood quality. But I mean, nowadays it's crazy. We know Hollywood quality you could do mostly with AI. So you
think we should actually consider getting the certification challenge in through X Prize? But is there any X Prize related to that right now?
Well, theirs is I'm not sure if it translates from that to I'm not sure.
I think you have to worry about X Prize, whatever they're doing. We can just do that, and between our channels, I think we have enough audience to actually make something like that happen. The question is execution. Like, do we have bodies actually working on it and developing a solid concept? That's the prerequisite.
Yeah, that would be the stage to.
But you guys want to go for the desert idea through a crowdfunding effort, some kind of a crowdfunding effort like that, or I mean, it's not really a lot about crowdfunding, because it's like the machines and stuff. We can build them for low cost. It's going to be like, say you got the first prototypes, few thousands, few tens of thousands, we can do that. But the question is actually getting to that, the design, the integrated design, and the thinking behind that. That's actually a solid proposal, not some kind of a half-baked idea, right? So if you want to collaborate on it, I'm into that. That's got. I mean, for us, if we get real development on the say the tractor so-called construction set, like absolutely, that could generate the eyeballs. So that could be basically the excuse to develop our machines to the level it takes to get there. And we're talking about, once again, ridiculous low cost, all the advanced features like the RTK GPS and all that. I mean, this could be that.
What's
that could
RTK, by the way?
Real-time kinematics, the 1 centimeter precision agriculture, automated. You can program that. You can mission plan that on your computer, so that you tell you got your planting, your divot making tractor, do that all day. You just plan that out on your computer screen, and then it goes to centimeter accuracy to do that.
Yeah.
So
No,
GPS,
I mean it's
that RTK GPS costs $500 right now. Open source. So there's stuff like that. I mean, the technology stack is pretty straightforward right now.
When I ran this through AI, it basically, the machine would be completely electric. It would be solar powered, because in the desert, that's the thing. You got all kinds of sun. You have very few days that are shady.
Bullshit.
Sorry?
Bullshit. Electric hydraulic hybrid.
Well, electric hydraulic, but it is based. I mean,
Well, if you talk about electric, it depends how you look at it. When you say electric, I mean electric wheel drive. No, the wheel drive you want hydraulic. If you go electric, you have 5 to 10x more expense. Hydraulics are dirt cheap for this application and the torque. If you want electric, then you have a hydraulic power cube that's electric. So it's got electricity from the PV panels running an electric motor that generates the hydraulic fluid.
See, this is the kind of stuff. It's like you have the idea. That's what he's saying. Yeah, I like doing this.
Well,
like
that's collaborate. I know that. Yeah, when I was thinking through, and I thought, wow, Marcin would be the one who's absolutely got the most experience. And
I won't lie. I think this is probably my favorite podcast.
This podcast will make history as from now we have figured out a way to regenerate 60,000 hectares a day.
That's
now the goal is massive replication of these facilities worldwide. So all the land we reclaim. In fact, I explicitly said in various discussions, I just want some trash land desert, and I want to regenerate.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I mean, let's do it right now. And we can do Are you guys familiar with charter cities?
No.
We can go to a country, get special zoning jurisdiction for legal status, and we can do this and do like thousands of acres. So Charter Cities does that. They negotiate with local jurisdictions to get economic development happening. But that kind of model. So it's a known thing where you can basically create new countries, new like special economic zones. I look at it like kind of microstate entrepreneurship. That's kind of the way I frame it. Have you guys heard of network state? That's this similar network state. That's once again a similar concept where you're gathering people around a topic and then you crowdfund for land to build whatever you got to build there as a social experiment and that kind of a thing. But anyway, this is all related. Let's see. I mean, think about the regeneration of desert and integrating because this means we would then be forced to take our machines to absolute industrial grade at the very low cost. So that would get us to actually productize all this stuff, because now we're not going to use the 2016 version of the life track. No, that's not good enough. We need the next iteration, right?
Fantastic, Marcin.
Fantastic.
We'll get back in touch.
Okay, let's see what.
Thanks.
I'll try and edit the podcast, and I'll get him to send you links so you can view it beforehand if you want.
Yeah.
So are you full-time employed?
We'll send you a collaboration link
for
your YouTube, and then we'll need you to send us all your links
And
that
then
you
Okay.
talked about.
depending on you, you're saying your platform is Instagram. I offer everybody, not everybody takes it, but if you want, I could do a teaser video for your Instagram if that's something you're interested in posting.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah.
Okay.
So you'll get 1 million views automatically, or 30 million
Well, then
views
you'll be.
automatically.
I don't know how competitive you are, but we have a couple big guests already on the channel. It's brand new, but it's popping off. Like
Are you
it's
guys,
doing very well.
Let me ask you: are you guys actually so you're doing like the whole sponsorship stuff and all that? You're trying to get revenue from that as a means to support yourselves?
Like we haven't, like I don't know that too. If you know people that are in the same niche that would want, because like I said, he's like you, where he has built up a name that we could get big guests on here for such a small channel. We're looking for sponsors now. He's very particular with who we work with, but that too we're offering. We're because we're so new. It's a pretty advantageous position right now if companies want to work with us.
How does sponsorship work? Like, what's a realistic figure for like, if you have like, how many? What's your audience size right now?
So we are at 1,200, I think, or close to subscribers. But that's why, if you look at the metrics, the amount of views these videos are getting, the podcasts are getting now, for the amount of subscribers on the account, because the channel's so new, it's blowing away. Like the numbers are insane.
Yeah, we're starting with $500 per episode. So for sponsorship for this channel, which is like tiny, the main channel is it's a different level.
But it depends too then, because depending on the deal, we offer packages as well. So some of them, they can choose to pay like an upfront, let's say, I don't know, the 500, or a combination of an upfront and a affiliate.
We prefer affiliate because we like the back end, so that if the video has interest for 2 years, well, we're making money on sales of their product for 2 years.
And that's why this channel's so powerful, because it's very niche. The people that view this content, consume this content, they will be more inclined to purchase, especially if he talks and says it. So anything in the permaculture niche, gardening.
So tell me the two channels. So the main channel, you're talking about Miracle Orchard channel?
His Stefan Sobkowiak, the permaculture orchard channel.
The permaculture orchard channel. And this channel is called what?
The Permaculture Orchard podcast. So this is...
We split off the podcast.
Okay, split off the podcast from the main channel. Okay.
But what we do is we also, like, we'll send you a collaboration invite. I'll get him to link you everything. So basically, it creates a video for your main channel. I tag his main channel in it and this one. So the amount of eyeballs that's how we've grown the channel and get the most amount of views. It's through these collaborations.
Podcast is a very good format, Marcin. For you, it would be very useful.
I'm getting excited about it. I'm just thinking about it and how to structure and all that. But I definitely want to do one, because we got to, the kind of discussion we had here, I want to be talking like that all day, you know?
And it does. We're really well set up here. We've got about 15 grand of investment to get to this point, but because we film it, so we got 2 cameras, we got 2 fancy mics.
You'll see, like
mixing boards. You don't have to be that. There are like absolute starter packs that'll run you $1,000, and you'll.
And the
you'll
best part, depending if you want to do it on your YouTube channel, first off, I would suggest starting a new channel, because we tried it on the main channel and it killed his main channel. Killed it. We had to start all over again.
What do you mean by
because
killed
it's
it?
So it's 2 different mediums. So this is a long format video, and the main channel, his videos are like 20 minutes.
Okay.
So the people that consume this aren't the same audience that consume the 20-minute videos.
Right.
So what happened is we were posting it on his main channel, and he went from, at the time, we were getting 40,000 views per video down to like 4,000. And because people stopped watching whenever we posted a main channel video, YouTube just thought they were no longer interested. So it didn't even show it to those people. So we've had to like rebuild. So again, learn from our mistakes. That's the biggest thing I would say. Start a new channel and then collaborate with your main channel to drive all the people from your main channel that are already interested in it would go, and it won't destroy your metrics. It won't, you won't have to start over.
And think of a sponsor for an episode before you do an episode. That helps a lot.
But there's, you guys' niche is crazy.
Because you're talking equipment, you got tools, you got, like you're using tools. You're not having open source tools as hand tools. So think of just hand tools, because everybody who's listening to your stuff is going to go, well, I have a shop, I'm building stuff.
The other thing that I've started doing too is we're going to have to go over the list, but basically we run it through AI. after you have a couple episodes, you put in the link for your new channel and you say, tell me about this channel. And it's going to spit out, oh, it's this is what they talk about. Okay, now find me 10 sponsors that would be a perfect fit for my audience. And you feed it stats from your analytics on the channel. So it knows, okay, my channel, the demographic, everybody lives in the States. They're from this age to this.
Already at 1,200 viewers, you can get a $500 sponsorship.
Yeah.
We have people that reach, but again, we're just very picky on who he wants to work with.
I don't want to sell a product that I don't believe in.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I'm endorsing it, it's basically an endorsement. It's got to be something that I'm excited about. So,
but again, you're in the same seat as him, where you've built up a name. You have this already established audience, so it's a lot easier for you to get on like your caliber guest. Whereas if you're starting from zero, nobody knows who you are, you're gonna be.
we have to go.
We have to go. Okay.
Yeah.
But
Perfect.
we'll for sure run this back.
Okay, you're employed full time. You said that you work for the city, so this is like a thing that you're going to transition to full time.
I'm like you, man. I work 7 days a week. I love it. I'm one of those sick people that I just love to work.
Okay.
I work law enforcement, and then I own the multimedia company, so I produce all of his stuff and all the behind the scenes stuff. So I'm always doing something.
Law enforcement. You're a policeman.
Like looking like this. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Marcin, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
We will get in touch, and we'll follow up for this. Absolutely.
Revolution's coming up. All right, I love it. We'll see you.
Perfect. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Take care. Yep. Bye-bye.